Hello. Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. I am Jay Lee. This is Jay Lee's Corner, and this is my review for, did y'all see the TV One Bobbi Kristina story? Look, I don't make the news. I just report it and I just do a review on it. But I don't know who made this movie. I don't know if this is somebody trying to go directly after Nick Gordon. This whole movie was against Nick Gordon. I don't care what nobody say. I mean, Jesus, I'm just like Jesus. But it also showed how that girl ain't had no guidance. Bobbi Kristina, I mean, she just needed someone to guide her besides the people she had around her. And, it was a good, because it wasn't a biopic. It wasn't. It started off like 2 days before Whitney Houston died, back in 2012. So, it showed Bobbi and Whitney kind of arguing. You will see Bobbi Kristina's mad. Like, I won't ever be anything except Whitney Houston's daughter. And I'm like, that might have been true. Because I do think some, I don't think how to say this without being kind of weird about it. Some famous people's children will always be that famous person's child. Sometimes that will all, like Blue Ivy will forever be Jay-Z and Beyonce's daughter. I mean, she might go on to do things of her own, but at the end of the day, she will still in some way always be known as them as being her parents. You do have some stars who grow up, and when they're older, they're no longer that person. But up until a certain age, that's who you are. Hell, I'm 35 and I'm still Marie's daughter. You know what I'm saying? Even when I was in high school, I was still Veronica Johnson's little sister. But it was because I was younger. You know what I'm saying? You have to sometimes grow up to be your own person sometimes. And it can depend on who your parent is. So for her, when her mom died, she was only, like 19 years old. That was still a child. You know what I'm saying? So, the beginning is her arguing with her mother, like, I would never be more than just your daughter. I would never sing like you. I could never be as famous as you. And, Whitney is saying, you are my greatest creation. Demetria McKinney, who played Whitney, girl, bravo. Now, she did a fantastic job. And the movie is not at all about Whitney. It's not at all about Bobbi. It is strictly about Bobbi Kristina. There are flashes of Whitney before, and also Bobbi before a little bit. So it's really about Bobbi Chris, but it's still not a biopic because it starts from her mom dying from, in Cali around Grammy time. And, when her mom was arguing, she's like, I hate you. And I tell people all the time, you should never tell your parent you hate them. Even if you are upset with your parent or upset with anyone, you really shouldn't say, I hate you, because you never know what can happen. So, they show her saying, how she hated her mom and she walks out. And, the next scene is they show someone in the bathtub drowned. I'm looking like, well, damn, they gonna show Whitney in the tub? Okay. And I'm like, was they showing, and I thought, is they showing that Whitney Houston killed herself because her daughter told her she hated her? But I kept thinking to myself, too, y'all can't know this stuff because, one, Whitney and Bobbi Kristina at this point in time are both dead, so they couldn't have told y'all this stuff happened. So, who knows? But nope, it's not Whitney, it's actually Bobbi Chris. And they show Whitney Houston, getting her out and saving her life, basically. And, it goes from that to Whitney dying. I'm like, bitch. They didn't show her death or nothing like that. They didn't show it. They started playing the reports. When it was reported that she had passed away and everything like that. So it's just, news stories. You hear the news stories and everything like that. And, you see that scene. I mean, again, it was not a biopic. I think they took a lot of leniency in some other things that they showed. I wrote a couple of notes, but yeah, they, Bobbi, her mom, has passed away. They show, like, I guess this must be her after the funeral because she's in the hotel room and she's like looking out the hotel window, and Vivica Fox, who plays her aunt, Pat Houston, walks. I'm like, okay, we have to go. And she was like, she saved my life. It should have been me. And she's like, no, babe, you shouldn't have been you. She was like, no, she saved my life and then she died in my place. Meaning I tried to kill myself this one way, 2 days before she died the exact same way, So that had to be hard for her to deal with. And, it shows when she gets home, how she's kind of just walking around the house. Her mom is not there. And, her and Nick go home. Nick all up and through this story is what I'm gonna call it, a biopic. And, I guess he like in his room and she not comfortable in her room, so she go in his room. I'm like, is this how they started dating? So no, she go in there and she like, I don't want to be alone. And he like, okay, you can have my bed. And she lays down and he scoots all the way over and he sits up. So he's not like in the bed with her or whatever. But then they have her having a flashback of when her mom took in Nick. And her saying, I don't want no funny business, I don't want no issues. You take care of us and we'll take care of you, and that's it. It's gonna be us, three musketeers, or the three musketeers, the three amigos, the three whatever. And that kind of brings, a smile, I guess, to Bobbi Kristina's face. It shows her having a hard time when she calls her dad. Now, I'm guessing this is the part that Bobby Brown must have had a problem with. Because remember, he was trying to get the story blocked from playing on TV1. And the scene shows is either late at night or early in the morning. And she calls her dad. And he wakes up out of his sleep and he answers the phone and everything. And, she's like, I just feel like if you, why did you leave the funeral? And she's like, he was like kind of making an excuse a little bit of saying, was crazy there or whatever. And she was like, yeah, but I was having a hard time, we're all having a hard time. And they're talking a little bit or whatnot. And she was like, she died thinking you didn't, love her. And he was like, I loved your mom. You then see his wife coming to the scene and sit next to him. So my thing is, if my husband's mother just passed away, I don't even want to be in the room with him when he's on the phone with her, because he needs to handle that on his own. And there might be things that he needs to say to his daughter that I don't need to hear to comfort his daughter. You know what I'm saying? One being, I loved your mother. Your mother could have been at one moment in my life was the love of my life. It could have been things that he needed to say to his daughter. But I feel like in this scene, when they show the wife come sit down next to him, he couldn't say what he wanted to say. Because, when she was like, she felt like you didn't fight for us. And he was like, this is a lot to deal with. We'll get through it. I can't talk now. I'll call you back. And I'm like, what were they showing? That he wasn't there for her because his wife was sitting right there. And is that the reason he said they were depicting him in a negative light, like he wasn't there for his daughter? Because in that scene, he wasn't there for his daughter. I mean, that phone conversation should not have ended until she was okay and said, okay, Dad, I'm gonna go down. You know what I'm saying? That's when I feel, that's my personal opinion. But I'm like, that must be what Bobby Brown didn't like, or one of the things that he didn't like. So, they also show, I guess, the will part when she found out how much money she would get, Bobbi Kristina, of course. And Nick Gordon was like, where my money at? Like, what I'm gonna get? And, Pat Houston, played by Vivica Fox, was like, oh, her will was done years before you were even in the picture. You're not in her will. And he was like, well, I'm family, She said that she will always take care of me. And then she's like, well, we believe she probably said that, but that ain't, that's not what's in her will. And you can tell from that moment on, he felt a certain kind of way. He felt left out. He felt like he was the eyeball out. But again, you were. You know what I'm saying? Like, she did take you in, but I also feel like if she didn't change her will to include you, then she was there to take care of you as long as she was there. And also, I mean, you could have got a job. You was older, but we ain't gonna say nothing about that. So, from there is a, Bobbi Chris is like wants, because of course she's getting all this money. She's getting, she's inheriting. My hair was wet and I let it air dry, so it's kind of crazy. But yeah, she, was getting all her mom's things. She inherited everything. So she's at the house. She's like looking at all the clothes and the jewelry and all this stuff. And she sees a pair of pearls, and she has it was a lot of flashbacks. A flashback of her mom sitting on some stairs when she was younger. And it was the one time when Whitney was going to rehab. And she's like, I'm going away to get better. just pray for mommy, and I, hope when I come back I'm okay. And, so that kind of stuff is what they were showing. And then how she found her mom's wedding ring and she put it on a necklace around her neck. So I'm like, okay, which is her having, moments of remembrance of her mom. Because again, I'm like, this is not a biopic. When Nick come in, she's like, I don't know what I'm going to do with all this stuff. I think I'm going to keep this one purse though. Because she loved this purse. But there's also a flashback scene, because she was like, mommy always said it was the three of us. I felt like she would always want it to be the three of us. And she has a flashback of her mom, like, she not spazzing out, but she tripping. I can say she's on a trip. And she's like talking to herself a little bit, sitting back smoking a cigarette. And Bobbi Kristina brings some cookies. And I'm like, what is cookies calm people who on drugs down? So, she eats a cookie or whatnot. And she's like, when is Nick going to be back on my medicine? I'm like, okay, we know she means drugs. I'm looking like, but is he going out to like buy her crack cocaine? Like, what is he going to get her? What's going on? So when Nick comes back, he comes back with like a prescription bag. So I'm like, okay, so that's a nod to her being addicted to prescription painkillers. And, I'm like, really? I mean, it was just, and even Bobbi Chris telling him, I'm sorry that she left you out the will. I felt like she would have wanted you to be okay. So, whatever's mine is yours. And I'm like, first of all, you don't tell nobody that. That's just not what you do. The movie goes, it's scene by scene by scene, because the next thing they show is like it's her 19th birthday, and she's still like, my mom, I don't know how to party for my birthday. I don't know what I want to do. And it's her and Nick sitting in the car, and he's like, well, let's go party with so and so. And she's like, no, because the last time, got kind of crazy. I want to go party with so and so. But he calls so and so and say, we on our way. So I'm like, so you gonna just take her where she don't want to go? But she goes, and they go to this party, and the people is there getting high and everything, and they smoking and drinking and all this extra stuff, and they're all like, happy birthday, Chrissy, yay, hey boo, happy, all that fake shit. And she is like in the bathroom, and you see Nick doing lines of cocaine. And then she has another flashback, and it's of this purse that she said that she wanted to keep of her mom's. And it's a flashback of Whitney Houston being in the studio. She's doing a song, and she has her purse, and she's like, okay, did mommy do good? Did mommy sing really good? She's like, yeah. She's like, okay, so mommy gonna go out and smoke a cigarette. So our mom is going through this purse, and she's pulling stuff out this purse and pulling stuff out the purse. And then she pulls out some cocaine. I'm like, you gonna just pull out some cocaine like that? It was a bag of cocaine, and then like some kind of paper thing that said raw. So for me, I'm looking like, okay, does that mean it's raw cocaine? I don't know how you smoke cocaine. I don't know if you need paper to smoke cocaine. I'm like, I don't know if that means that she was lacing her cigarettes with cocaine. I don't know. However, from that memory, Bobbi Chris comes back to current time. She see Nick snorting a line of cocaine. She's like, let me try that. And then she snorts a lot of cocaine. Again, so it's making it seem like Nick Gordon is the one who got her hooked on cocaine, because he doing cocaine and then she doing cocaine. So, that's strike one against Nick. There was a part of, Chris didn't have a lot of friends. They showed a couple of friends that she had. I feel like she just did not have the right people in her life, because there's a scene where they show, but again, I know this is not real stuff, but if it was, this is what I'm saying what happened. So in the scene, Chris is talking to her two friends, and she's saying like, I feel like if my mom and my dad had stayed together, my mother wouldn't have died. And my thing is, when your friends say stuff like that, sometimes you have some kind of rebuttal to them. You're talking to them, and you want to like kind of be encouraging. And all the one friend said was, you don't know that. But I'm like, I mean, for me, it just wasn't comforting. And that's why I said I feel like she did not have people around her to guide her when her mama died and she was 19, and she was already a different kind of kid. You know what I'm saying? She was already leaning on her mom for everything, because she was a mama's baby, which is great. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. But when you are a person who depend on your mother for everything, and then that's the closest person to you, and that person dies, that crushes your whole world. You know what I'm saying? Crushes your whole world. Losing a parent crushes you, and you really need people around you to support you. I feel like she ain't had it. You know what I'm saying? She ain't had it at all. So what is this part? It's, I don't even want to go scene by scene with this movie. I mean, I just feel like they clearly showed she did not have good support. They did show, Pat Houston and her uncle attempting to be there for her. They did show, but it's like you don't know how genuine that was, because there was a scene in the movie later on where Bobbi Chris says to Pat Houston, all y'all care about is money. My mother was right that we only need each other. We don't need anybody. All y'all care about is money, 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 money. So my thing is, you also wonder, is the reason she kind of alienated herself from her family was because she felt like all they wanted was money. And then I kept thinking, like, where the hell was Sissy Houston? I mean, Sissy Houston, Whitney's mom, wasn't anywhere in this story. I just don't see. I don't know. I don't know how you had everybody in here except her grandmother. I really don't know that. I mean, so you mean to tell me that from the time her mom passed away until the time she passed away, she didn't have any interaction with her grandmother? Really? So it's a tragic, tragic story, because the girl clearly needed someone to just love her. And I feel like they show how her and Nick kind of got closer and closer, and then that was a little bit of a downward spiral. Just based on I don't know them in real life. I don't know them. I'm talking about what I saw on TV. And there was a scene where, when they show how Nick and Chrissy became a couple. So, it's after they was hanging out or whatever, and they back at the house in his room that they're sharing, because she doesn't feel comfortable yet anywhere else in the house, and she doesn't want to be alone. I completely get it. Her mom, dad, and so she at the house and she don't want to be alone by herself. I get it. But however, she take her shirt off, and she take it off like normal, and she take it off, and he look over and he lick his lips. I'm thinking, like, did you just lick your lips at your sister? Okay. And then, he's like, you always so comfortable around me. And she's like, yeah, you're like my brother. That's normal. And he was like, your brother. Whatever. And he starts smoking some weed, and then they do a shotgun shot of weed. A shotgun is when you inhale the weed in your mouth and you blow it into the other person's mouth. I heard. I don't smoke weed at all. But back in the day, long, long, long time ago. Yeah, anyway. So, and then he kisses her. And at first, it was like normal or whatever. And then he was like, you know what? I love you. And she's like, man, whatever. We like siblings. And he was like, no, look, really. And he kisses her again. He's like, I'm in love with you. And she was like, really? My thing is, if we like brother and sister, you can't kiss me. If we like brother and sister, we also can't do shotguns. Hell, if we family, we can't do shotguns, because your lips have to be too close to my goddamn lips, and it ain't going down like that. You do shotguns with friends and guys you messing with and stuff like that. You don't do shotguns with your family. You just don't. And when he was kissing her and stuff, and then he was like, cut the light off. I'm like, and she cut the light off. You don't cut the light off with your family. You don't. And even though we know that they were not raised as siblings, her mother did take him in, but still I'm looking like, you just said he like your brother. So how you cut the light off and you making out with this man, and then the next thing you know, they show scenes of them being a couple. They all lovey-dovey, holding hands, kissy-kissy. I'm like, so y'all basically just said they had sex and then she fell in love and now they're a couple, is what basically happened. And, there were scenes of them showing, when, they had the whole reality show thing, and how, Nick was mad that he didn't get a contract initially, how he wasn't going to get paid, because, again, he like, I need some money. And, Pat Houston finally said, okay, I'll try to make it to where we can get you a contract. You'll get paid, but you won't get paid like the family, because, again, you're not a Houston. You know what I'm saying? You like family, but you're not a Houston. And, so it's that whole thing. So they're showing her do her reality show, and they're doing like the whole green screen thing. You can tell she high. Where's Nick? I need to talk to Nick. Nick. And everyone is looking at her like they know something up, but they don't want to say nothing. And then the next scene, they show Nick basically mixing the goddamn lean with the Sprite in the cup. Like, they show him mixing it. They show him mixing the lean and giving it to her and getting her high. Again, they went after Nick Gordon and this dang on thing. And, it was just her and him, just getting high. doing lean, smoking cigarettes, doing coke. It was that kind of thing. And then they show the scene where he kind of proposed to her, which is weird because all he did was take the necklace off because she put her mama's ring on the necklace. So he took the ring off the necklace and said, "We gonna get this. Wear this as your engagement ring. Tell people we engaged so they can stay out of our business." And she basically says, "Okay." I just, it just look. I took other notes. It just basically, that's what it all is. It just shows moments of him kind of manipulating her. But her allowing it. Her being young and naive. The family, again, is clearly against it. When they went and announced they were engaged to Pat and the rest of the family, they were not happy. Her uncle was like, how you go from being siblings or like brother and sister to being engaged? Black people don't marry kin. And at all. Okay, that ain't, that ain't what we do. And, Pat just saying, why would you do, why? And mine will be happy for us. It was just crazy. It was, I just don't get, that. And even in every flashback she had of her mom, it was like of her mom singing, of her, of Whitney and Bobby being happy. This is regular flashbacks that she would keep having. Again, Demetria McKinney, great job as Whitney. She did a fantastic job as Whitney. I'm happy they didn't have her doing full on Whitney for a whole movie. I don't think I can. I don't know if I would like her doing that. Well, I might, cause she did really good. The singing part was really good. Her mannerisms, was really good. I like that part. The guy who played Bobby, he wasn't in it a lot. Again, it was more flashbacks. Even the phone call between him and Bobbi Kris, it was at night and you couldn't really see him. The one scene that he did have was towards the end of the little movie. He came to see her, and you can tell that they had a strained relationship a little bit, because he kept on saying, if you need me, you can call me. And she said, well, how about I just call you? Meaning, we need to talk a little bit more. But you can also see that he didn't like Nick at all. And Nick didn't like him at all. But Nick didn't like anyone getting close to Bobbi Kris if it wasn't him. Because again, it just showed him as a manipulator. When she wanted to start doing music, he think he puffy. He gonna be a producer. He gonna be the goddamn old manager. And this, all that kind of weird stuff, it showed how he kind of had a jealous streak. How he was shopping and spending her money. And she like, you supposed to be my producer, my manager, but you just spending all my money going shopping. And he like, well, this is what we gonna be doing. But again, it was like she was being dumb and kind of letting them do it. And again, most of the time, it was only him and her. You didn't see other people like in their life like that, at all. It was just sad. I mean, it was sad because in the movie, it didn't make her seem like she was a depressed child. It seemed like for the most part, she was okay. She just missed her mom, but not to the point to where she would have died. You know what I'm saying? Like that. So that's the kind of weird part about it. But even there was a scene where, she wanted to move to LA and, Nick was going to be her manager. And so Pat was like, okay, we're going to throw you a party. And, come up to the house. We have everybody over. So they go to the house and her cousin, what was her cousin name? I can't think what the cousin name was. Gary Michael. And I'm glad because I can remember it. It was, Bobbi Kristina saying, I haven't told, Nick about this shit. And Nick like, well, tell me about what? And it was that Pat was going to be co-management with Nick Gordon, and Nick didn't like it. Nick like, no, I don't need no help. Y'all just want to be all up in our business. I'm straight. And Gary Michael, who was her cousin, was like, why you being rude to my cousin? Why you being disrespectful to my auntie? I don't like that shit. You know what I'm saying? We don't have that here. And Nick was like, man, we finna go. And Gary Michael, like, grabbed Bobbi Kris and moved her out the way and beat Nick ass in the house. Pat screaming, Bobbi Kris screaming, and he, punched him, had him on the ground, was punching him in the face. So I'm looking like, did Nick Gordon get his ass whipped for real? I mean, I was just like, he needed it a little bit because he was getting a little bit too big for his britches. But again, it just showed that it was such a divide for Bobbi Chris, where on one side it was Nick Gordon, and she felt like Nick was her everything, you know, even though she thought at times he was cheating on her, even though he had a jealous streak, you know, even though later on in the scene they do show when he started being abusive, where he was out all night. So the fight scene, she felt like it was just a divide. She left with him, and that's when she was like, you know, my mom, you know, would want me to be happy with you. You know, this is what she would want, blah, 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 as they leaving. But, you know, later on in this episode, Lord Jesus, in the movie, you know, they show how they had a fight. She went to a party. Some friends took some pictures of her. Like, a guy who she knew was, like, there, too, and he got jealous and he got mad. And did he hit her then? I don't think he hit her in that scene. But the next scene, he just got mad at her or whatever. And she was like, boy, whatever, bye. And then he, like, left and was, like, gone all night. And she calling, like, call me back. And he ain't calling. And when he come back, she like, where you think where have you been? And I've been calling you all night. And I've been texting you, ain't been responding back. And he like, oh, yeah, I know. And she like, you been ignoring me? And so they're arguing. And then she was like, if you think you all that, you know, go ahead with one of them other girls and live there because you ain't got nothing without me. And he was like, shut your ugly ass up. Oh, but her ugly ass. I'm like, did he really say that? I don't know. Because again, I wasn't there. Nobody else could have been there either. But, you know, they arguing and fussing. They arguing. And then he beat her up. Like, punched her in the face. They showed him kick her. She leave and go to her friend's house. And her friend was the only person I could say was a real friend. Because at one scene, she came over to Bobbi Kris's house. And was like, what's in the cup? You over here, you know, snorting coke, drinking lean, you crazy. And she like, but you do drugs too. She's like, girl, I smoke weed and not even every day. But you doing lean and coke. You know, you tripping. You know, Nick got you tripping. You don't know him. No one knows him. And she's like, girl, whatever, bye. So she went back to this friend's house. And the girl like, you know, you need to leave him alone. You know, he's crazy. You need to stop. You know, and she's like, well, just don't call the police. I don't want it to be in the news. And, you know, they had dinner at the girl house. And the girl mama keep looking at Bobbi Kris like, is you okay? And she's like, yeah, I'm fine. Because she covered her face because she's bruised. And then her phone keep ringing because Nick keep calling. She gets up from the table. And the mom was like, do that girl think I'm dumb? Like, I see her face is all beat, you know, bruised. And I see she's beaten. You know, that boy beat her up. I'm calling the police. And her friend like, no, don't do that. You know, she wants to trust us, so we can't do that. She doesn't want anyone calling the police. Then Nick show up. Typical, I beat you up fashion. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do it. I won't do it again. And the friend like, get out of here. And he like, get out my face. He getting mean to the girl, to the friend. And Bobbi Kris, she just standing smoking a cigarette. The girl mama come outside like, I'm gonna call the police. You gonna let her call the police on me? Well, take your ass home. Okay? Bye. You then see a flashback scene that Bobbi Kris has, as we think, of her mother and her father arguing and fussing and fighting. Her mom like punched Bobby Brown. And then they show like Bobby Brown kind of tackle her to the floor to prevent her from hitting him. So you see her seeing her mother, her father get into a fight, but we know they made up. You know what I'm saying? So she's like, okay, you promise you won't do it again? And her dumb self got back with him. So, you know, it then gets to the end of her story. Now, this is where I say I feel like they completely is going after Nick Gordon. Because they show she finds a condom in his room. And she confronts him and says, we don't use condoms, so who you sleeping with? I know you cheating on me with someone, so who is it? Because, again, we don't use condoms. And they're arguing back and forth. And he like, you tripping. And then she like, I'm going to L.A. with or without you. I would have said without you. Because you cheating on me. But whatever. So they go upstairs. They're arguing. And they're in a room and they're arguing. And they're like arguing. And at this point, there's no sound. You just see them arguing. And then you see him punch her in her face. And she just falls to the floor. And he like kicks her. And he's like beating her up. And then you see her crawl away to the bathroom. And she closes the bathroom door. And she's in there crying. And she's crying. And she's crying. And you see him bang on the door. And then you see him busting the door, and the screen goes to black. And then it says, you know, on January, the date, you know, January, whatever day, you know, Bobbi Kris is found unresponsive in the bathtub, and she was taken to the hospital. So my thing is, y'all basically said what happened was they got into an argument. He beat her up. He killed her and he put her in the tub. That's what y'all said. That's what y'all said. Bottom line. So, I mean, and then it shows, you know, it says how she then passed away 6 months later. And then the ending scene is, you know, Bobbi Kristina in all white walking through, like, the woods. And you see she walks up to a woman in all white, and it's Whitney. And she kind of looks at peace, and then it goes off. And then it says how, you know, on this day she transitioned and she went with her mother. I mean, it was good, but then again, it wasn't good. For me, I feel like it was more speculation than anything else. Simply because you had two people who are no longer here. And I know that Bobby Brown didn't lend his thought process to it, and I don't know who else could have. I won't say that it was entertaining because it was a sad story, but I did find myself watching the whole thing. You know what I'm saying? I found myself bored watching it, but I'm just like, that girl needed guidance. And in real life, it felt like she was a tortured soul who was on drugs, who missed her mother. In this movie thing, she didn't seem as unhappy as she seems in real life. It showed many normal happy moments. It just showed that she was on drugs and she had a guy in her life who might not have been the best for her. And in the movie form of it, he was the reason for her demise. He got her on drugs. He was beating her up. He isolated her from her family. So I'm like, did Pat Houston do this? Like, did Pat Houston say, put out this story? You know what I'm saying? Because the only person that looked good in this whole thing was Pat Houston. This is my opinion. So, that's my review of the Bobbi Kristina story that was on TV One today. I hope you guys enjoyed. I will be back next time for another review. I took a couple days off because it was just, I was just like, you know, YouTube, you know, going on here for 6 months, it can be, I've been on YouTube for 6 months every day. It can be a lot. So, I took like 2 or 3 days off to not review anything. But I'm back in full effect. So, I hope you guys will be still tuning in. So, until next time, I am Jay Lee. This is Jay's Corner. Peace.